Hi, good evening. I'm Courtney French. I'm the attorney that represents the estate of KJ Starks. Today is a bittersweet day for this family. As you may know, today the worker who left KJ in the car on the day that he died, Keila Stanford, was arrested by the Birmingham Police Department. We were notified this morning, a little bit after 7 a.m., that she was in the custody of the Jefferson County Jail. And she has been charged under the Maya White Act, which is an Alabama state statute specifically written to prevent a tragedy that occurred on July the 22nd when KJ passed away. We are extremely thankful to the community for the outpouring of support and love shown to this family. The mother and the father and the entire family, they're devastated by their son's death, and especially how he died, a very tragic and brutal death. On the day that he died, July the 22nd, the heat index was approximately 108 to 109 degrees on the outside. On the inside of the car, the temperatures reached a temperature in excess of 140 degrees, while KJ was locked inside of a car, parked inside of the worker's driveway. The family is extremely thankful and grateful to all of our elected officials who have stood up and said that there needs to be a dramatic change and overhaul to DHR, the Alabama Department of Human Resources. KJ, at the time that he died, was in the custody of DHR. And DHR is the Alabama state agency that's charged by statute with the protection, the safety, and the welfare of our children, our most vulnerable children. And in their custody is where KJ died. In the custody of the state agency that legally was supposed to protect him. Representative Patrick Sellers, along with many of his other colleagues, have been so supportive of this family and have discussed potential legislation to prevent this type of tragedy from ever happening again. This was preventable. This was something that should have never happened, and hopefully this is something that should never happen again. We have with us today KJ's aunt, Brittany Johnson, who has been the spokesperson for the family. The mother and the father, they have just not been able to even talk about this. They haven't slept since this happened. They haven't eaten since this happened. And Brittany has been the family member to kind of help them during this crisis and then during this time of grieving. So I'd like just to her to say any words, just to kind of talk about KJ and, you know, what type of child he was. And as you can see, she has, you know, a shirt on about KJ. Tomorrow he will be laid to rest. Is his funeral on tomorrow. This evening at 7:30 we'll do a candlelight visual in honor of KJ and his life, and also a balloon release. Turn over to Brittany Johnson.
I first would just like to say my family and I are very, very grateful for the community and everyone that's showing love and support and standing in the fight for KJ. Thank you. We are very grateful for you. We would like to thank law enforcement for the quick arrest that was made today. But my family and I, we do still have a lot of questions, and we pray that this investigation be continued.
Yeah, and let me just kind of follow up about some of the questions that this family has. Following this tragedy, our law office sent a letter to the Alabama Department of Human Resources, which has been now over a week ago. We have yet to hear from DHR, any representative of DHR, to apologize to this family, anybody on behalf of DHR. And, you know, we have questions. How this happened. We have questions about this company, Covenant Transportation, and Covenant Services is the name of this company. And just some of the preliminary investigations that we've received, and even calls from people throughout just not only this area but across the state, who've had other complaints about this transportation services showing up with not having the proper cars. Law enforcement said when KJ died and they went to this lady's house, the worker, there was illegal tint that was on her car that was so dark that if you were standing next to the car, that you couldn't even see that KJ was in the back seat. How is it that a state agency, DHR, hires a transportation company to transport a baby around in a vehicle that has illegal tint? So even if someone did walk past the car, they would have never seen that KJ was inside the car. He was old enough at 3 years old. The family members, they've told me that KJ was old enough to know how to even unbuckle the car seat.
Yes, very intelligent.
He was a smart kid. He knew how to fasten and unbuckle the car seat, but the worker had the child locks on the car. And so he was literally trapped in this hot car with extreme heat for more than 5 hours, from 12:30 until when someone called at 5:30 in the p.m., 5:30 that evening, and said, why was KJ not returned back to daycare? And what we've already discovered through our investigation is when she left with a father who had his weekly visit with KJ, this worker, instead of taking KJ immediately back to his daycare where she picked him up at 9 o'clock that morning, she decided to run her own personal errands. She went to a restaurant. She went and stopped and took food home to her family and left KJ in the car while she dropped food off, left again, and went to a smoke shop or vape shop, tobacco shop, with the baby in the car. She rode around for over an hour from 11:30 to after 12:30 with KJ in the back seat and drove back to her home, where she said she forgot that he was in the car. She had one job. She had one job to do, and that was to pick KJ up from the daycare and to take him back to where she picked him up.
Exactly.
And DHR and these workers are responsible for this child's death. He should be here today. This should never happen, and this should never happen to another child. We're extremely thankful for State Representative Patrick Sellers for being here, and we've asked, the family has asked for him to come and say some words as well.
Yes, thank you.
Good evening. Just as today we learned about the arrest of such a tragic death of a 3-year-old KJ. While this development may bring a measure of accountability, it does not bring back the life of a precious child who was full of promise, joy, and innocence. Just as I am a father, a public servant, I am deeply heartbroken and outraged. KJ's life mattered. He deserved protection, he deserved care, and a future. What happened to him was preventable, and that truth should haunt us until real change occurs. The arrest of the transporter is a necessary step toward justice, but it must not be the only step. This tragedy has revealed glaring cracks in the system, cracks that cost a child his life, and we must ask the hard questions. How did this happen on the watch of those entrusted with KJ's care? Where was the oversight? What protocols were broken, or worse, never existed? This is not just about one individual, it's about a system that failed us, that failed KJ. That is why I'm calling for even just a full investigation into the policies and practices of the Alabama Department of Human Resources. We must implement reforms that protect vulnerable children and ensure no family endures this pain ever again. This includes mandatory safety protocols for all child transporters, strict background checks and training for contractors, real-time tracking and verification, immediate audits of a child placement and transport agencies. Let us be clear. Accountability is not revenge. It is the responsibility, and responsibility must be shared by every level of the system that was supposed to protect KJ. This is not the end, it's just the beginning of a movement to protect our children and hold every agency, every contractor, every system accountable for KJ, for every child in Alabama. My heart goes out to this family, and we'll continue to push for correction, for healing, for oversight in dealing with not just KJ, but every single child that's in the care of our system.
And in addition to thanking Representative Sellers, I'd like to also thank, on behalf of the family, Governor Ivey. Governor Ivey came out with a very strong statement this week calling KJ's death reprehensible and preventable and gross neglect. Think about that. DHR, who is supposed to protect children, being a part of a system that their own gross neglect and reprehensible conduct caused a child that was in their custody's death. This should never happen again. Again, we thank you all for being here, and we'll take a few questions at this time. I will say before any questions, we are somewhat limited with talking about the ongoing investigation. We've had some limited discussions with the DA's office. We are still waiting to get the results of the toxicology, the blood work to see, when this worker went to, this tobacco shop, what did she buy? Was she on some sort of substance herself while she had KJ in her custody? So that will take some time, just going through the forensic process, but we do want to honor that part of the investigation and allow law enforcement to conduct a full, complete, and thorough investigation.
Couple questions. I've heard conflicting stories. Was KJ found still strapped in his car seat, or had he gotten himself out and was in the general car?
No, so KJ was in the car when the call was made to the worker from the daycare, asking the worker
Right.
why KJ, and so at the time, so the worker actually took KJ out of the car and to her home. And KJ was in her home, and they said that the worker, this is part of the investigation that we've received from law enforcement, the worker was throwing cold water on his face.
So he had not gotten out of his car seat, that you know.
He had not. He had not.
When you had mentioned earlier that she left, ran some errands from 11:30 to 12:30, she did at that time is claiming she didn't know he was in the car then either.
No, she's claiming she did not know that he was still in the car once she returned to her home.
The final time, or the time she dropped off?
The final time, but she had just picked him up. We have a lot of questions. The story just doesn't make sense.
No.
That you would have just picked up the child from daycare within less than an hour, and he's 3 years old. And the family said he's very active.
Very.
He's very active. So it's not likely that KJ was asleep this entire time. Just
For 5 hours, no.
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 And throughout this entire 5-hour period from 12:30 to 5:30, for the worker not to even have some recollection that she had not taken KJ back to the daycare and he was still in the car.
Yeah.
Those are the questions that we have.
Yes.
Not
Not
Christopher
Can you
Brittany.
talk about a little bit more about the companies that get the transportation? Before they can even get a child in their car, do they have to go through strenuous background checks, any type of social work training, just to be able to actually have a child that is already in DHR custody?
That's why we've reached out to DHR. We have not gotten a return call asking DHR to provide us with that documentation. With parents, if a child is going to be given over to the custody of a family member or a foster parent, DHR requires a very stringent home visit, site visit, to make sure that everything is proper and safe in your home. we would expect for them to have done the same thing with this company. But we know now that wasn't done, because there's no way that KJ could have been riding in this car with illegal tint on it and allowed to be transported by this worker.
We talked about Covenant Services Transportation. They've had other complaints. Do they just cover Birmingham, Jefferson County, or the entire state for DHR?
Again, we've asked for a copy of any agreements between DHR and Covenant Services. I know State Representative Sellers has also sent a letter to DHR and has not gotten a response yet.
Question for Brittany.
Yes, ma'am.
A couple questions. First of all, just tell me what KJ's relationship was with you and his parents, because I know he's been in foster care since birth. How close was that relationship?
Yes, and I do want to correct one thing. He have not been in foster care since birth, but I personally have a great relationship with KJ, and KJ just was a child full of life. He enjoyed playing. He loved on you, you love on him. You know, he's very smart. He can sing his ABCs. He know all his numbers. You know, he enjoyed. He make friends everywhere he go. And with his relationship with his parents, he loved them the same. He enjoyed seeing them.
Yeah.
And just like it's heartbreaking for the mom and the dad, because they're not going to see him again.
What kind of relationship did you have with the foster family also? 'Cause
But you know, DHR don't let us
Like you
have a
have it.
relationship with them, but they have reached out since this happened.
I mean, I'm sure they're heartbroken too, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
And then just talk a little bit about the vigil tonight. How you want KJ remembered?
Yes, ma'am. Just like the community, they already been showing up and supporting the family and I, and showing love for KJ. We want that to continue, and we want you to stand in the fight while this case is continuing to be investigated. Tonight, we're gonna speak only about KJ. We want you guys to know a little bit more insight about him. You know, what he liked, what he enjoyed. You'll get to come out and see kid-friendly environment. You know, what he should have still been able to embrace in his childhood.
Let
Do
me
you
ask
all
you
know if he worked at the transport before, and had you all worked together?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
So the question was, had KJ been transported? Yes.
Yes.
This worker, in fact, had transported KJ before. This was not a one-time visit. This was a weekly visit.
And she's the same worker.
And this is the same worker who would transport KJ every Tuesday for a visit with his family. So this is, you know, what happened on this day. Those are the questions that we have to find out. How did you forget when this is not something that was new to you? Again, you had one job, and you did this every week.
Brittany, I'm sure that you have a lot of memories with KJ, even in this short 3 years. What is the most favorite memory you have with your nephew?
Just recently, like in May, when he was visiting my home, we laid out the inflatable, the kid inflatable. He enjoyed the water. You've probably seen it on social media, how much fun he was having. And he was telling me, Auntie, I love this. I gave him pizza. I made his day that day. And unfortunately, that's the last day I saw my nephew.
If you could describe how you're feeling right now in one word, what would it be?
It hurts. It hurts bad. It hurts deeply, because they failed him, and it makes me feel like we failed him as well.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Mr. French, State Representative Sellers. How can families in the state of Alabama trust DHR after this situation?
Okay.
And we're about to bury it.
You know, I will say this. DHR is supposed to be the safety net. That net's broken.
Yes.
And that's why Representative Sellers is here to look at how do you fix that system. We want our kids to be safe. No parent, no family member wants to be here talking about burying their 3-year-old child who died in the custody of DHR. And so whatever, we're calling on all of our elected officials and our state legislators and the governor to help fix the system, whether it's funding, whether it's overworking or shortage of workers, whatever it needs to be done to protect our children. They deserve better. And we want to make sure, again, that this never happens again.
Is the state paying for the funeral?
No, the family had to pay for the funeral.
Yes.
Even though he's within state custody?
We have not heard from DHR. No one has reached out to us from DHR. There was a phone call with the worker, the driver, to the father, trying to explain away. That's the only person who's reached out to the family, but no one on behalf of
Can Governor
DHR.
Ivey force them to respond?
I think she could.
Again, though, the state's responsible for his care. So why are they not paying for the funeral?
What do you think that says? I know you all have a lawsuit, but what do you think that says that you all haven't heard from them? They're not paying for the funeral.
To me, it shows the lack of accountability. That there was a statement that was put out by DHR saying that this company was a third-party vendor of DHR, that this worker did not work for them, essentially. But they're the ones that selected this company.
Yes. Yes.
KJ would not have been with this company, would not have been with this worker, but for the fact that he was in DHR's custody and they placed him with this company. He didn't have a choice.
Right.
The family didn't have a choice. Think about that. You don't have a choice, and then you get a call saying that your child has died in a car in the extreme Alabama heat in the summer. I mean, that's a nightmare.
If a family and child is already involved with DHR, that's already a hard time. Should the state be relying on third-party vendors to help carry out their work?
I think that's a policy question.
Yeah, that is a policy question, and that's one of those questions that we're asking. And we're also looking into what level of oversight that should have been or needs to be ongoing for DHR. Regardless of whether it's a third-party vendor, DHR is still liable and responsible. Every child is in the care of DHR.
Yes.
You think this one is Ricky?
No, just thank you and thank all of you guys for coming out and helping, spread the word to bring awareness to what happened to KJ and to help prevent it from happening to another child.
Thank you.
Sorry, I missed it earlier. We just say this for your personal last name.
My name is Brittany Johnson, Brittney Johnson, JOHNSON.
You're the aunt, correct?
I'm KJ's auntie, yes. I'm the mother's sister.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank y'all so much.
It's just 7:30.
Yeah, I know. 2 hours. I'm gonna stay down here. Thank you. Thank you.
So y'all know.
Thank you.
So far, they
Thank
have
you.
not
Thank
decided
you.
to
Because they need to be held
Yeah.
accountable.
Yeah.